A bacon has been savagely attacked inside of Hmp Wakefield Monster Mansion. Now, this has just came to light, but it did happen only just a number of weeks ago in December 2025. Now, this attack, I've looked into it, I've done a bit of research because the headline of it was neo-Nazi who plotted to kill Labour MP savagely attacked in prison where Ian Watkins was murdered. Now, I've looked into this because the person or the bacon who has been attacked, and the attack was an attempt to take his life. So Jack RENSHAW, who was 30-year-old, was jailed for life after his plan to kill former Labour MP Rosie Cooper was foiled. Now, 2 seconds actually, because there is a picture of him, Jack RENSHAW, and when I read about the rapist who had actually attacked him, I'm going to show you his face now actually. Ian OCHIENG, you will probably remember that face because when I was looking into this, I have had quite a number of emails and different things and messages and comments on my previous videos saying, please do a video about this. This neo-Nazi has been attacked inside of prison. So, at first, when you see the picture of the pair of these actually shared it on my Facebook page, this was it yesterday, I think it was. I shared the read up, and if you're not on my Facebook, get on it, people. It's just Ricky Colleen. It's got about 17,000 subs on there, now I followers on there now, and I do post a lot more content on my Facebook. A lot of it is just write-ups and images. But when I seen the images of these two side by side, obviously Jack RENSHAW just looks quite young and vulnerable. Well, not vulnerable, but you know what I mean. He just looks like somebody like would like to take him under their control and abuse him inside of prison, if you get me drift. Especially when you see the picture of Ian OCHIENG, a big ass hairy rapist. Because I seen the picture of him and I thought that face looks familiar. And it's familiar because I'd done a video on him only a couple of months ago when he potted 2 prison officers down in Hmp Long Lawton, and he got done for administering an obnoxious poisonous to 2 prison officers. He is serving life with a minimum of 12 years, I believe. I will have a look at it in a second. And for that attack on the prison officers, he was given an additional 2-year consecutive sentence, meaning the 12 is now turned into 14. Sometimes when it's concurrent, the 12 wouldn't be turned into 14, it would run alongside it, meaning you don't really do it. But I'm going to get into this and get down to exactly who these 2 prisoners are. Now I'm going to start off with Jack RENSHAW. What I am going to say is he's a neo-Nazi. I'm going to go into detail in a bit about him. And he is also a bacon. He was charged and jailed for grooming little boys, and he is a despicable, horrible piece of you-know-what. And do we care that he has nearly been ended? Do we care that he is on the bacon basher list? It should have been a bit more. I'm not going to say or incite, but I'm saying if he did get the Ian Watkins treatment, which I believe he was trying to do because he has had a nasty stripe, and I believe OCHIENG was trying to take his life. And would we have been upset by that, knowing that his mind and his preferences would never change? He will always go after the little lads, so he would never have been missed. But Ian OCHIENG, it says here, Bristol rapist and every woman's worst nightmare jailed. This was in January 2021 when he was jailed. And it actually happened, the attacks happened in 2019. So a man who raped a woman and assaulted another has been described as every woman's worst nightmare, as he was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Ian OCHIENG, 27, of Saltmarsh Drive, Lawrence Weston, attacked his victims in Bristol city centre in June 2019. One victim said, the actions of that man on that night will never leave me, which I've said in these videos previously. It doesn't. Like I said in the last two videos, when these bacons have been ended, those little ones who have been teared off those bacons will now have comfort knowing that these beasts will never be coming looking for them because they are no more. So Ian OCHIENG, at the sentencing him at Bristol Crown Court, Judge William Hart said it was clear OCHIENG had been on the lookout for young women who he could prey on. OCHIENG was found guilty of rape and assault following a trial in October, so he didn't have the decency to plead guilty. He made these young women stand up in trial and relive the ordeal. Hopefully, in time, he will get the same sort of prison justice himself, because he's going to be spending a considerable amount of time inside, because for this sentence, for this offence, which will have been on camera because the whole prisons are cameraed up, he will be getting a substantial amount of time for attempting to take another person's or a bacon's life. So Acting Detective Inspector Mark Newbury of Avon and Somerset Police said, in 22 years of policing, I think this is one of the most important convictions I have been involved in. He is every woman's worst nightmare. He's an extremely dangerous individual, and the public are without doubt much safer with him being behind bars, he added. The court heard that 10:30 on the 12th of June, OCHIENG led the first woman into a secluded part of Broadmead where he carried out a prolonged assault. The woman was later found distraught and partially clothed by members of the public. He then attacked a second woman on Frogmore Street 3 days later at about 4:30 in the morning on the 15th of June. Following the assault, she informed the doorstaff of a nearby nightclub, and he was arrested shortly after on Park Street. In the victim impact statement, one of the women said she had found herself questioning whether she could have done anything differently to have avoided being in that situation. Obviously not. It's because of what that freak was doing. It's nothing to do with what you've done. Obviously you're on a night out, 4:30 in the morning, you're on your way home. You don't want this sort of thing. Just because you're out and you're a woman at 4:30 in the morning doesn't mean that it was your fault or anything like that. It's his fucking fault for being a sick, twisted individual. But who goes out with their friends expecting to be raped? No one, I should imagine, she said. And it goes on to say, why me? And then she's going on. OCHIENG was given a 16-year extended sentence on Thursday, including 12 years in custody for the rape and 4.5 years on licence for the assault to run concurrently. So when I said it was life with a minimum of 12, I did get that confused because it's an extended sentence, but he has to serve 12 years in custody, and the rest on license. But the 12 was put up to 14, so he will serve 14 years in custody. And now he will be getting life with a minimum of around about the same. So the 14 will be turned into something like 22 years minimum before he is released. Anywhere from 22 to 26, I do believe he will be getting, but I will keep you updated on his actual sentence. But getting back to the story that I shared on my Facebook, when I seen the pictures side by side, and it said Jack Renshaw, a neo-Nazi, and OCHIENG, the rapist, who has striped him and attempted to take his life, I thought, alright, this Jack Renshaw is obviously against Muslims and blacks, and that's who he has been targeting. But I was actually wrong. I looked into the case. The Labour MP, Rosie Cooper, who he was planning to kill, was a white lady. And the other white lady who he was planning to kill was, give me 2 seconds while I just find the name of the white lady copper, but she also was, like I've just said, a white lady copper. But the reason behind that, which I will go into in a bit, I will tell you exactly who she is and the details of it in a second, because I'm going to go over his case. So I was a bit confused, thinking, well, if he's a neo-Nazi, normally, obviously, when he's side by side by a black man who striped him, he got striped for being a racist. I thought he's against people of a different colour. But I was wrong, because the two people that he was jailed for attempting to take their lives were white ladies. But the white lady copper, he wanted to take her life because she was the one investigating him for the grooming and doing the other with the underage boys. So that was the reason why he wanted to kill a white lady copper. And the MP, Rosie Cooper, who is actually an old lady, just 75 now, I believe. I was wondering, well, why is he wanting to kill a lady of the same colour of him? But like I've just said, when I've looked into it, it's because he's a neo-Nazi who is against the Jews. He's got the ideology of Hitler and the neo-Nazis. And Rosie Cooper, I will just get this up a second. So Rosie Cooper, who had been a Labour MP for a number of years, was elected. 2 seconds where I get this up, because in September 2005, Rosie Cooper, as part of the Labour Friends of Israel, made an official research visit to Israel. In September 2020, she was appointed a vice chair of Labour Friends of Israel. So that is the reason he's a neo-Nazi, and that was the reason why he was going after Rosie Cooper, because she was Labour Friends of Israel. What a pathetic little scumbag, wanting to kill a lady who, as her duty as an MP, became the Labour Friends of Israel. Fucking little ratbag. Right. So that was Rosie Cooper. And I'm now going to go into the neo-Nazi pedo who plotted to kill. This was off the 2nd of April 2019. So, it says a jury has been unable to decide whether Jack Renshaw, a neo-Nazi who admitted a terrorist plot to kill an MP, remained a member of the banned terrorist group. At the end of his fourth and final trial of the past 2 years, the full story of those cases can now be told. They drank there regularly, normally on a Saturday afternoon. Sorry, because I was thinking, well, why hasn't it said the name of the pub? But it does see it later on. But that the way that this is worded, it should have said the name of the pub first. So that was why I looked a bit confused. Normally on a Saturday, often during the week too, numbers varied from only a couple of drinkers to as many as 10. This is the Friar Penketh in Warrington, a busy Wetherspoons in the town centre. The conversation of the drinking party was not that of ordinary lads out socialising, football or about work, but focused on far darker subjects, such as their hatred of Jewish and non-white people, their veneration of Nazism and Adolf Hitler, and their fascination with terrorism. On Saturday, the 1st of July 2017, several members of the former members of the banned neo-Nazi organisation National Action arrived in the late afternoon. They were joined in the early evening by a youthful-looking man whose wide, hostile eyes are in contrast to his slender, timid frame. Now, that was the way I was trying to describe him before. He looks like the type that will become a victim inside a prison, and they will use him as a sperm bucket. I was trying to think of the right word to use so that it doesn't flag up on here, but I was going to say SP spunk bucket, which they would refer to him as in prison. So they almost immediately, the then 22-year-old began complaining about an ongoing police investigation into him for stirring up racial hatred in speeches. There was sympathy for Jack among his fellow drinkers. As the evening wore on, he revealed an immediate plan that if he was charged by police, he would make a political statement by killing his local MP, Rosie Cooper. He had already bought a gladius machete, a Roman short sword, to carry out the murder. Hostages would be taken, he elaborated, and he would lure a female detective who was investigating him to the scene by demanding to speak to her. He would then kill her as well. Obviously, he's telling the members of the party inside the pub that she is investigating him for hatred, which it wasn't. It was because of him being a bacon. After that, he would commit suicide by cop by advancing on armed police wearing a fake suicide vest, he told the group. The attack would be an act of white jihad, a slogan used by National Action, and he planned to make a martyrdom-style video setting this out. None of those around the table challenged RENSHAW, and two of them even suggested alternative targets, namely the then Home Secretary Amber Rudd and a synagogue. What none of them knew was that one of their number was secretly passing information to the anti-racism charity Hope Not Hate. Robbie Mullen, once a committed neo-Nazi, had grown disillusioned and wanted out. I didn't want to be involved in killing anyone or a group. I was involved with killing people. I just didn't want anyone to get killed or hurt. As Mullen left the pub that night, Renshaw gave him a hug and said they would probably not see one another again. Alarmed by what was unfolding, Mullen immediately contacted Hope Not Hate. Jack is going to kill an MP soon, he told them. Jack Renshaw's case starkly illustrates the danger of radicalisation. He was born in Lancashire and became involved in politics in his teens, first with the English Defence League, and then the BNP after meeting its then leader Nick Griffith at an event which is the British National Party. When he finished school, he started a degree in economics and politics at Manchester Metropolitan University, but was asked to leave because of his far-right activism. Renshaw spent years into the BNP, appearing on posters, in videos, and as a speaker at conferences. He stood for Blackpool Council and worked at the European Parliament in Brussels. He also involved himself in campaigning against the grooming of kids. I'm saying that quick so it doesn't pick up on here, but you get me drift. Once asked to describe his journey, Renshaw said, "I started off basically as a bit of a civic nationalist with, let's say, slightly covert racist thoughts, and now I'm an outright racist national socialist." National Action will become his political home. The youthful British group, which was founded in 2013, was openly racist and neo-Nazi. It will be banned in December 2016 after an official assessment concluded it was unlawfully glorifying terrorism. National Action even used an official Twitter account to celebrate the murder of Joe Cox MP by a white supremacist. I've actually done a video on that one as well previously, because I do believe for that offence he got life without parole. Robbie Mullen, then a warehouse worker living in Runcorn, Cheshire, had joined the group after becoming absorbed by extremist politics. He had researched other organisations but was drawn into the brash, confident National Action, whose members dressed in all black at demonstrations and used social media to promote their activities. So his social media pages became a vile stream of hatred, maliciously conspiracy theories, with Jewish people a frequent target of abuse. And he was talking about the eradication of the Jewish people. So Renshaw, campaigning against the kid exploitation, was secretly a bacon who had been grooming little lads for sex. For nearly a year, he'd been using a fake Facebook profile to groom two boys who were aged between 13 and 15 at the time. Despite not meeting them, he offered them money for sex and requested intimate photographs. Police were alerted, and a relative saw messages on one of the boys' phones. Exactly what I was telling you is to do. Look at your kids' phones, and if you haven't got kids, you've got nephews and nieces, do the same, or get on to the parents and say, have you checked your kid's phone recently? Because these type of activities are an ongoing issue and people need to address it and stop it before it happens. When first arrested in January, he had only been interviewed in relation to the speeches before being released on bail. Why inquiries continued. One of the officers investigating, Detective Constable Victoria Henderson, was tasked with keeping in touch with the suspect, and she also became involved in the offences inquiry. In May that year, Renshaw was rearrested and questioned about the offences. He must have realised his deception was at an end. DC Henderson later said Renshaw had been shocked and upset and gone visibly white and very teary because he'd been found out the fucking bacon. He denied it, despite evidence of the offending having been found on his own phones. The suspect, who had a history of making homophobic statements, told DC Henderson he was still a virgin, did not believe in sex outside marriage, and that his taste was quite traditional and quite conservative. Well, we know what that means, don't we? You vile little bacon. And good job you got that, because you deserved every part of it. So within 2 days of being released on bail, Renshaw searched for DC Henderson on Facebook. She had become a target, and that was the other female police officer I was talking about, who he had been plotting to kill. Unknown to police, Renshaw had already begun planning an attack on his local MP, Rosie Cooper, which would be a political killing. He now resolved to also murder DC Henderson, which would be an act of personal revenge. So this is what I was talking about when he's went to this group, and he's went in because he knew his time was up. He knew he was going to prison, and he was going to be exposed as a bacon and his group would turn against him and he would have no protection from nobody. They would have put him out of the fucking group for being a bacon for what he was doing. So, like he said, he was going to do a jihad, a white jihad. And why is that, may you ask? Because he knew he was about to be exposed as being a bacon, so he was going to go out and do these attacks and then get killed off the police by going to attack them as well. So on the 7th of June, he ordered these machetes not online, paid for next day delivery. After receiving, he shared an image of the weapons with associates using an encrypted Telegram messaging app. Alright, I'll get further down. So when it was banned, Mullen, that was just going on about that again, but we'll not go over about that case. We will get to the point. So he was eventually found and arrested on suspicion of making threats to kill. The next day he appeared at court for stirring up racial hatred offences, and the prosecution successfully opposed bail, meaning Renshaw was off the streets. Robbie Mullen, on the other hand, continued associating with the same people. None of them knew he was a source of intelligence about the proposed attack. There were concerns that Mullen himself could face prosecution for membership of National Action. Immunity had been granted and the police had assessed whether his evidence could be used in prosecution. In autumn 2017, 6 people who had been drinking in the Friar on the night of Renshaw revealed his plot and were arrested and eventually charged. 2 of them, including the group leader Christopher Lithgow, were convicted of membership of the National Action. 1 man was acquitted of the same charge. 2 juries were unable to decide whether the other men, Renshaw included, had stayed in the group after it was banned. Mullen, having refused witness protection, was issued with a threat to life notice by authorities, which you can rightly imagine. They will not realise that obviously he's done a good job getting that rat off the fucking streets because of his offences. He was an absolute bacon. But obviously the other members of the group will have it in for him because he's ratted on the rest of the group, and he is a rat. He's been in that group, and it doesn't matter whether he's part of an Islamist group, a black group, a white group, an OCG. If you're part of a group and one of you is there passing on information, you're a rat, you're a grass, and you will have a threat made to your life. Or if not, it will be taken. Hope Not Hate rushed him away late at night and took him to a safe place. He has been unable to return to his home or job since. Renshaw eventually faced 4 trials over the past 14 months at the time. In January 2018, in Preston Crown Court, he was convicted of 2 counts of stirring up racial hatred in speeches and later sentenced to 3 years in prison. In June at the same court, he was convicted of 4 counts of inciting a little one to engage in S activity and jailed for an additional 18 months. The case can only be reported now. His final trial has concluded. So that's when he was exposed as a bacon and obviously inside of Hmp Wakefield. In the dock in Preston, he appeared sheepish as videos of police interviews with his 2 young victims conducted by D.C. Henderson were shown to the court. Right, I'll not go on about any more of that at the moment. So, Renshaw even sent the boy, can't go into it because it's too bad for on here. He is an absolute bacon. The things that are getting read out here I can't put on here for obvious reasons. But you can imagine he's an absolute fucking wrong'un. He's an absolute bacon. So during his 3rd trial at the Old Bailey in summer 2018, Renshaw was more forthcoming, appearing unashamed at his murderous plans and hatred of others. On the first morning of the trial, Renshaw suddenly pleaded guilty to preparing to murder Rosie Cooper and making a threat to kill D.C. Henderson, but he denied membership of National Action and also remained a defendant. When called to give evidence, he said Rosie Cooper was chosen as his target because she happened to be my local MP and was the most logistical representative of the state. It was me wanting to send the state a message. If you beat a dog long enough, it bites, he told the court. He said the plan was to turn up on her social events and then hack at her jugular with the machete, which is what OCHIENG has done with him, hacked at him, tried to take his jugular. RENSHAW, a Holocaust denier who told the court he wanted all Jewish people to be killed, stated his neo-Nazi beliefs loftily but defensively, claiming to be impervious to the horrors such ideas have generated, while at the same time calling for more. His haughtiness was at odds with his true position. A convicted bacon and terrorist faced many years in prison. He is still unsure precisely what first triggered his decision to start secretly passing information. This is on about Mullen. I knew that if I could do something to stop it, then I had to. But this little neo-Nazi was jailed for life with a minimum of 30 years, I believe it was. Did it say? 20. Serving a minimum of 20 years at Hmp Wakefield. And OCHIENG obviously would have heard all about him. He probably didn't realise it was mostly against the Jews, but it'll have been circulating around. There's people in there, like I've said, it's 60% bacons, 40% normal locations. Some of the normal locations will probably have been saying to OCHIENG, do you realise this lad over here is a bacon? If they want someone took out, they're not going to do it themselves, the majority of people. They will use their head and get somebody else to do it. They've maybe used OCHIENG in this case and killing two birds with one stone. One of them is going to get extra time, so he's never out on the streets to attack and grape women. More women will be safe when he is not on the streets. And RENSHAW, who is a bacon and neo-Nazi, they obviously want to see this unfold. So probably this is what I imagine has happened. They've been stirring it up on the wing, getting inside his head. He's obviously a dangerous person. He's shitted the screws up. He's done what he done to the women. He's in there serving a long time, and he's obviously getting furious and becoming dangerous inside a prison. And after he got an extra 2 years for doing that to the screws, he probably doesn't look at himself as being as bad, because these rapists, believe it or not, don't look at themselves as being as bad as these other predators who target little ones. So they're probably getting inside of his head, and he's probably thought, right, he's a racist, he hates black people like me, it's all against them, when it is mostly against the Jewish. But he's probably thought, right, he doesn't like me, he's going to get it. Cha-ching! OCHIENG, give him a stripe. And he did, I believe, I've heard, try for his jugular. Unfortunately missed it, but he left him with lifelong serious injuries. And again, he's getting a taste of prison justice. And OCHIENG is going to get a life sentence for what he has done inside of prison. So I just thought I would bring you that story, people, and go into detail and let you know exactly who these two bacons are, who the two intended victims were to be murdered, two white women, the reasons why a white lad, a white supremacist Nazi, would want to murder two white women, because it's confusing a bit when you look at it and you think, well, why? You could fair enough understand if it was a Muslim MP or a black MP, but when you see an old elderly white lady, you think, well, why? What's the reason behind it if he's a neo-Nazi? But it's because she is a member of the Friends of Israel, Labour Friends of Israel. So that was the reason behind that. And I wanted to go into detail, people, and give you the full story, give you the rundown without coming on and doing a quick 5-minute video and saying that a bacon on bacon attack has happened, and it could have been said within 5 minutes. But I wanted to go into the background of these two bacons and that neo-Nazi and the reason why. And that's exactly what I've done, people. So hopefully you are enjoying the content. But there is that many requests coming in at the moment. There is that many bacons kicking around. There is that much happening. There's that many getting jailed. There's that many getting attacked inside a prison. And there's quite a lot dying inside a prison, getting ended or ending themselves or getting ended through obnoxious substances, which I done yesterday. So people, I will leave that one there for now, and I will pick and choose which ones to do, because I was actually going to do the one somebody sent us, which I will probably do tomorrow, about a Grange Hill actor and a London's burning actor in his 50s now, I believe, who was now a convicted bacon, an actor who has used his authority as an actor to do vile and disgusting things, and he has been sentenced to prison. But I will probably bring you that one tomorrow, so stay tuned, people. There is a whole load more to come on Behind Bars TV. Like I said, this channel and the other social medias are going to explode even more in 2026. I have a range of different stories and plenty of topics coming through. But I've also released some other videos on my other channel, Ricky Colleen Travel Vlogs, which is a difference from this channel. It's about my life in Thailand, travel vlogs, motivation, helping people overcome obstacles, and giving people a look at the brighter side of life instead of this negative stuff. But this has to be said because there is no other channels on here talking about this type of content. So keep tuned, people. Go into the description. You will see the link to my other YouTube channel. Go and have a look. There's a great podcast I have just done with Mike Garner. You will find it very interesting if you like that sort of topics. And I am talking about how I lost my teeth, got me black eyes, got a bleed on the brain, and crashed me moped. I talk about that on the podcast. So if you all want to see it, click on the link in the description or put it in the comment section. But I'm going to leave that one there for now, people. And you know the drill. If you're enjoying the content, remember to comment, like and subscribe. But most importantly, stay safe and check the little ones' phones.